Do you love yourself? Because we hear everywhere that you should love yourself, but do you really know what that means? Do you really know what it feels like to love yourself? Stay tuned because in this episode we're gonna discuss on how to tap into self-love and how transformative it is for embodying sensual pleasure and improving intimacy on your relationships. I'm Candia Raquel, and you are at the Sensual Sessions Podcast, the place to explore sensing pleasure through your senses and moving in a way that it's free from inhibition and full of self expression. So make sure to get this episode delivered on your inbox every week on my website. Just subscribe going to www.mynamecandiaraquel.com, which is candiaraquel.com. And today we have a very special guest. This is Majo Torreli. She's a fellow Latin American woman. She's from Venezuela and Ecuador. I am Mexican. And she's a relationship coach. And I am very happy to have her here. Welcome, Majo.
Hi, Candia. Thank you so much for having me. I'm very happy as well.
Such a great pleasure. So tell us about you. How did you tap into this work of embodiment, love, and pleasure and relationships?
Yeah, sure. So essentially, I had the messiest relationships throughout my 20s. Like it was one after the other, and they were all very disempowering in one way or another. And I was gonna say funny thing, but it wasn't that funny at the time, was that I was always working on myself. I was always doing the therapy, the mindset work, reading the books, listening to the podcasts, like you name it, I had done it. And I knew a lot in my mind. Knew the ins and outs of attachment theory, and like I understood my patterns. I mean, I had studied them for a long time. But yet, when it came to actually going out into the world and meeting men and going out with them and like having relationships, it was like the woman who knew a lot and had a lot of information in her mind just flew out the window. And I was always ended up in the same pattern of like disempowering dynamics where I just felt very shitty. And to top it off, I also had like, I mean, at the time I didn't realize everything was connected. Now I do, but I had a lot of body image issues. I had a really bad relationship with my body, like, oh, always working out because I wanted to be thinner and like always like punishing my body. And and also had PCOS. So like everything was body related. At that time I had no idea, but like the main pain point that I was super aware of were relationships. And that's how I eventually found a certification in, after trying everything, I was like, "Oh, what is this?" And it was a certification in somatic sex and relationship coaching. And for some reason it caught my eye, like a gut instinct told me to go after it. I had no idea what somatic even meant. I just like liked the content and it called me. And that's how I found it. And I dived deep into it, loved it, went for another one and just like kept diving into it. And long story short, here I am.
And here you are. It's fantastic. And it called my attention that you said that yeah, like you had everything in theory, but you didn't quite have it in the practice. Like you knew about yourself, you did the work and everything, but in the moment of like jumping into playing the field, like you relapsed into the same patterns. And then you talked about your bad self image issues and that you were like working out. And then I thought about this super popular contest of Miss Universo, Miss Universe. And I remember that Miss Venezuela, it was
Yeah.
always Miss Venezuela and Miss Colombia, the finalists. And like,
Yeah.
I don't know, there was a miracle sometime that Miss Mexico won, Miss Universe. But other than that,
Yeah.
it's always like, oh yeah, Miss
Yeah.
Venezuela and Miss Colombia. So it it immediately like
Mm.
led me to my idea that Venezuelan women are super hot, and I have been and Colombian, and I've been tempted to buy myself these like fajas colombianas, like this contouring
Oh my
thing
God.
to
I know.
wrap in your waist.
Yeah.
So you sweat when you work out, and they are
Yeah.
very tight, so you get to make, because my body is like a brick. I don't have a Coca-Cola shaped
Yeah.
body,
Yeah.
and like I thought I would get like a Miss Universe body
Through
doing
that
like
thing.
all, yeah.
Yeah.
And then I thought, does does it has something to do like the culture that you were raised influenced in your body image? So that's one question. Or maybe your self image and
Absolutely.
had nothing to do. Yeah.
I mean, I can't tell you how much. Like, it's an, I mean, in my case, it was very an intergenerational thing. Like, I was born in Caracas, and my mom, literally, it's so funny that you mentioned Miss Universe, because literally the first thing my mom did after having me, like, she gave birth to me, and then she went to the center where they actually train Miss Universe. So, like, the center where they get them ready for the contest, and it's like, I mean, and what she told me, it sounds like a torture center, essentially. It includes these things you're saying, the fajas, but also like cold treatments and like, of course, starve yourself and like masaje reductores, so like these
Yes.
massages
Typical.
where
Yeah.
they hurt like hell. I had my first one at 15 because my mom thought it was, I love my mom, but she had this kind of like ideas about how a woman should look. And yeah, I mean, I had a couple of those in my life. I hate them. That's like the first body trauma. And I was like, I mean, now I'm like, oh my God, that's so traumatic. You're literally beating yourself up to look thin, or like not thin, but like you say, that specific shape.
Yeah.
And yeah, absolutely. It was so, so linked to why I struggled so much with, always looking at myself in the mirror and being like, oh, I'm not there yet, because you're never there. I mean, you have to look perfect, and still your mind is like, oh, I'm not there. Yeah, very, very related.
Yeah. Yeah. And I remember the masajes reductivos, which
Oh my
is
God.
like it's not just a massage to shape and tone and lose your weight. Here in Mexico, I think it's they they have connections and teacher trainings with the ones in Venezuela and Caracas, I'm sure, because I have also gone to the massage, also sponsored by my mom, who thought was a great birthday party. Like, yeah, you are so fat or you look so inappropriate that here's your
Here's
21 day
your gift. Yeah.
massage pack. And
You're
it included
welcome.
like you got like, how do you say moretones? You get
Yeah, bruises.
you get
Yeah,
bruised in the
you
abdomen.
actually
Like
get
if you don't
bruises.
get bruised, it doesn't count because they really
Exactly.
squash the fat, and then
With their hands.
with with aha, and
Yeah, it
and
hurts
then
like hell.
I I wore a cast, like when you break your leg and you work like a cast. I had
Yeah.
a cast on my waist for, I think, 4 days. That was the conclusion of the massage. And
Oh,
of
geez.
course you lose weight, but I don't
Yeah.
know how much weight is because of the dehydration and and the hardcore diet and the massage and everything, and you bounce back very quickly. Or I don't know if kind of waist that I do have is thanks to those massages. But but if we like think about it, it's so aggressive because
Yeah.
men, I mean, not that men have it easier. Well, they do have it easier, but it's not the same to do push-ups in the fist, to learn discipline and build muscle mass and get like the the training for martial arts that is in a way important, especially Mexico, Venezuela, crazy places.
Yeah.
But the physical pain that men endure as part of training or in regards to their body is associated to a goal of physical performance that has some practicality. Like it's useful to be able to, I don't know, lift heavy stuff, or like to be strong is very useful, and also to be tough and resilient for the sake of martial arts or whatever. But as a woman, like there's no function of enduring physical pain other than gaining the approval. So it means that you are by default on a fired position. You begin on a from the stance of being physically rejected, and it's so ingrained that we don't even realize that it's operating like a background noise
Yeah.
in our psyche. And then we grow older and we have like this body dysmorphia or distorted self-image, and we feel that we are never beautiful enough, good enough, skinny enough, tall enough, fit enough, whatever. So our relationship with ourselves is screwed, damaged from the get-go. And it's screwed because it's a promoted and taught and learned education on like self-hatred. This episode is about self-love, but I really think it like we come from this conditioning that it's not even neutral. It's actually disempowering. So no wonder when we jump into relationships, we face a lot of problems. Like you said, like you got into this empowering dynamics without wanting. Like you were aware of your own patterns, you had done the work, you knew the attachment theory, and still, when you went into the relationships, you found yourself like running on the same patterns, which makes me think that consciousness it's not enough, because like you do the work, you're self-aware, and then you find yourself again, which leads me to thinking that, yeah, it's a cliche, but it's true, the body keeps the score. So
Yeah.
so we know the theory about romance and dating and relationships and stuff, and we also know that we should love ourselves because that's like the mantra at the core of every self-help book and mindfulness and stuff. But the thing is that that's not enough, because we already have this physical training of self rejection and this ingrained brain chemistry of feeling ourselves a certain way when we think about ourselves. So all of this to say that it's not enough to be conscious and to think about it and to talk about it. Of course, maybe that's the starting point and it's fundamentally important. But
Yeah.
the but awareness has to be made flesh. This understanding and this re-education has to be embodied. So here comes my question. When did you oops, when did you realize that you were not embodying your teachings? That yeah.
That's a really good one. Yeah. Yeah, and I really like your reflection on consciousness because now how I see it is like we really are like icebergs and 90% of who we are and like all the emotional patterns that make you Candia who you are today are stored in your body and only like that 10% that we usually work on in traditional talk therapy is neck up. So definitely need to, yeah, flesh it, like put that knowledge into flesh, like you're saying. And it's really funny because when you say, when did I realize I was not embodied? Honestly, it was when I started somatics, funny enough. Like if I hadn't started somatics, I would probably be still in the same place, stuck in this healing wheel. And that's funny because you think you're healing because you're reading a lot and because you're listening to podcasts and because you're going to therapy and doing all the things, you think you're healing. And that's honestly just like another form of self-abandonment and another form of like even sometimes re-traumatizing yourself because you're pushing yourself to learn and to be like, but you're still in that fight or flight state. So that's not healing. But I had no idea. So I realized once I was already starting my embodiment journey. And I mean, I'm still in it. I think it's a lifelong thing. I think I will be working on it the rest of my life. But like, I would have not come to that conclusion without literally being guided there, by a somatic coach in a somatic program where they were like, okay, let's go into our feelings, into our bodies. And I thought it was just like another nice modality. But then I was like, holy crap, this is like another, I didn't know this was a thing, I didn't know this is what anxiety felt like. And I thought it was fear. And it was just like a massive revelation of, wow, this is me. And I still get deeper and deeper into that revelation of, wow, this is me. But yeah, we have no clue until we're either guided there or like we're somehow we have, I don't know, sometimes people arrive through psychedelics or like through this type of tools, but it's really rare. Most of us just live head up.
Yeah, most of us just live head up, and it can be like, yeah, a trap that I have to confess I really enjoy falling into over and over, like the compulsion for learning and the compulsion for
Oh,
understanding from the neck up. Like
yeah.
I was watching TikToks before this interview, just like I had like 10 minutes free, and I have like my albums storing videos, and then I have one album that is psyche, and another one that is music and whatever. And then I saved one video, and it was like the 2100, no, 1255 video, or something, and I was like, wow, I have watched over 1,000 videos, micro video snippets of, I mean, juicy gold. I've watched even more. These ones are just the favorites, but it's like, oh my God. And if each video it's 2, 3 minutes, I've watched over 2,000 to 3,000 minutes of psychology videos. And that's fantastic. And I love it. And like realizations change my, that's a quick fix to get inspired when I am like in a bad mood or anything. I just like try to find a good piece of content that opens my perspective. And now came the blow with your words, because it's like, yeah, but how much of that am I really practicing? Because like, okay, let's be realistic. I don't have like the mental capacity in my consciousness to be cognizant and execute on every piece of wisdom. And I don't think, maybe one genius over there in no sé, Germany. but it's like, can I recall one lesson from those over 1,000 videos? I don't know. Maybe I have internalized the understandings. Maybe it has helped me articulate my views. And of course, like I can use them as reference. But the thing is that if the insight is not turned into a practice, it will stay from the neck up. It needs to become a practice, so that conscious delivered practice becomes embodied, and then you get to make that realization, that understanding, you get to make it flesh, and in a certain way you learn because you become the understanding.
Yeah.
You make it yours as a modus operandi. And that's the lovely 90% that you talked about, of being an iceberg and being the body, and the body also as the unconscious, as the aspect of the self that you become aware through your unconscious patterns. And it's like, you cannot be conscious of your heartbeat and the speed of processing enzymes in your body and hormones. It's, we are too complex to deal with the totality of the self in a conscious way. And
Yeah.
that's why I see embodiment as a fundamental aspect to really create enduring change. Because in order to change, in order to learn something, you need to change. You need to, I feel you need to become different. So here comes the connection of this understanding, this embodiment, this self knowledge through sensing with relationships. So, can you recall the moment when you said, like, ah, okay, now I am doing things differently? Can you spot like that moment of realization when you were like, okay, the certification in somatic sex and relationship
Yeah.
coaching is paying back?
Yeah. Yeah, I actually do recall those very lovely moments. I
Yay.
mean, and they do, that's the beauty of it. They accelerate themselves. I mean, like the depth of it now, it's of course, it mind blows me every day. But yeah, the first nuggets and the first little things you get are very special. And they happened in my last relationship, which was the healthiest to date, and like very proud of. Yeah, I know. Very proud of myself in that. Like I look back, and you know how sometimes you look back on a version of you and you're just like, oh my God, I feel so much compassion and love for you, and like yeah, and it's sometimes it's just painful, you know, a lot of parts of my past feel that way. But in this relationship, I'm like, you did well, like
You did well.
for you, good for him, good for both of you. And it was in the really little things, like for instance, being able to go in the middle of an argument or in the middle of conflict to just stop and be like, I'm feeling frozen right now. And I can't articulate when I'm frozen. And I mean, he was lovely on his side as well. So he was like, oh, okay, I see. How can I help? And like that actually stopped the argument because it wasn't anymore about the argument, but the fact I was frozen and like either help me unfreeze or like, and it just like changes the whole dynamic. And these little things of like being able to tune into yourself moment by moment, those are the ones that create the big life changes. We think the big life change looks massive, and it's actually the day to day moment of feeling safe within yourself, in your body. Those are the ones that actually like compound. And yeah, that's how I started feeling it. And then that's really beautiful as well because you start trusting yourself more in the process. And even when things get harder, it's like, okay, I know this works. I know I work. I'm not broken. And it's just a matter of actually going deeper in myself as opposed to, hating my wounds and like shaming myself and like just being like, oh, you're so this or that, or trying to fix myself. So yeah, it's been quite a powerful journey.
I love what you say of being able to look within moment by moment without trying to fix yourself, because that's part of this loop of self-improvement, that it's never ending. It's like, okay, now I want the newest massage with the newest machine
Yeah,
to get in shape with what is trending now.
yeah,
But
exactly.
it's like, okay, I am able to behold the totality of myself and my complexity and my flaws, and being there for me, for myself, uh, knowing how to create this sense of safety and support for myself, and, and basic self-worth and dignity to be able to say in the middle of an argument, this is happening to me right now. And I am not trying to distract from the fact that we are having an argument. And this is going on as well. And what is going on has to do with who I am. And this who I am, I deem worthy in such a way that I expect you. Like,
Yeah.
I just feel that, of course, you value me. And I feel comfortable to say, like, I am feeling like this. And also receive the support from the other person,
Yeah.
and being able to see things for what they are, and allowing for things to rest in their place, like, okay, we have this relationship that is a fundamental part of us, and I am in this situation, you are in your situation, and we have this argument, but like, we need to focus on these two, and we are trying to sort out this difference. And at the same time, I am not because when I get pissed off like a good Latina, I am a fucking crazy bitch panther, throwing the table and fuck your mother, motherfucker. And not anymore, not anymore, but I just have the vibe that comes across with the glance. like your grandmother
Yeah.
mothers. They
Yes.
didn't they didn't need they didn't need to scream at you. They didn't need to spank you. They didn't even need to speak a word so
Yeah,
you
there's
understand that you need to shut
yeah.
down, sit, and stay still just with their glance.
I
It's
know.
yeah, it's a Latin grandma superpower.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
that crazy Latina superpower that is super crazy. It's still there. I just don't enact on that, and and I am able to stay in the conflict and to stay in the, like you said, stay tuned within myself moment by moment, and allow the other person to see my vulnerability, to see that I am about to lose my shit and go batshit bananas,
Yeah.
and still have like that millimeter of openness and trust that is relentless and that will welcome the support of the other person. And I believe this is intimacy. And I mean erotic intimacy, because it's in those moments when you are really naked, not when you take your clothes off. That's easy. That's Madonna said wisely, it's easier to show your ass than your feelings. And it is.
Very
So
wise.
very wise, Madonna. Always the queen. So here comes the topic of our conversation, that is self-love. That's that's a lifelong lesson for me, but that's one that I had never really wanted to learn. I am like, yeah, I hereby confess very heartedly that I still secretly wished to, for someone to love me so I don't have to love myself, or someone to love me more than I love myself. And just recently, I realized that part of my self abandonment was a mistaken understanding in myself that if, if like I need to have an area in myself that is abandoned, so there's a space open for someone to come and save that part of me, or I need to have a part in me that is not loved, so there's a space for someone to do their job. Otherwise, like, yeah, like I am complete, you have no place to be here, go away.
Yeah.
And I don't know when did I assume all that, but I realized that it was, I don't know how conscious, but it was on purpose. It was deliberate. Like, if I am so well and so happy, how can someone like could come and make me happy if I am already happy? And of course, I know that I am wrong, but there's a part in me that it's still like, like if I have an empty, if my glass is full, how can it be filled? So then
Yeah.
it's very easy for me to pour myself and even bleed out myself into over functioning and over loving people. And the thing is, this is still kind of confusing for me. I hope I learned along the sensualist here from you. And the thing is that there's something that I am aware that doesn't make sense because when you are in relationship with another person, forcefully that relation with someone else is informed by your primary relation, that is your relationship with yourself. So if you don't know, like people that is so aggressive and so rude with their speaking, it's like, oh no, I don't want to know how that person speaks to themselves in their own minds when they are alone. Like if they are so harsh to judge another person, I don't want to know how hard they judge themselves. Like you can read a lot about the relationship of someone with themselves in the way they relate to other people. It's like the attitudes say more about the people that give them rather than the people that receive them. It's, for example, if someone betrays you, it's like, okay, that person deserves an eye for an eye. Like if they betray you, they deserve to be betrayed and pay their due. The thing is that I don't deserve to become a traitor. And one thing is to endure the pain of having been betrayed, then on top of that, on top of being the victim of, say, abuse, letting the other person be the cause of you changing and becoming a rotten version of yourself, like on top of being a victim, I don't deserve that this person also makes me become a victimizer. Or I don't, yeah, I don't, it's not that that person doesn't deserve to be betrayed, it's me that I don't deserve to be a traitor. And all of this thinking on on how the relationships with other people stem from the relationship to oneself, and also how the relationship to yourself is informed by how you related to other people. For example, like, okay, we come from this culture where being Miss Universo is like the equivalent of being a great lawyer for a man. It's like, what?
Yeah.
So yeah, like you said in your website, you're supposed to love yourself. But do you know what that even feels like? And then you said, yeah, I didn't either. So
Yeah.
tell us, how does it feels to love yourself?
Hmm. Such a profound question. I think, well, I feel the most powerful indicator for me, like in terms of, wow, I really do love myself now. Not perfectly, but like quite, I mean, in a way that really, I feel the difference. Like I feel it in my everyday life and how I materialize things differently now than I did before in my relationships and in just my life in general and how I treat myself. It's the space and time. It's very simple, but honestly, the space and time I allow myself now to be me. And with this, I mean like things I didn't do before that I now do. And it's just very simple, very much like, okay, I'm very tired now. I'm gonna stop working and I'm gonna rest. I am okay. It's a bit late, and I love this TV show, but I wanna go to bed and meditate because this is a good time to do that and get ready for my sleep. Um, so honestly, on the surface, it would be like, oh, she's just very disciplined, you know. But the thing is, I've always been disciplined. I've always had the character to be a disciplined person. I used to be the one who opens the gym at 6 a.m. And it's really and funny enough, now I'm like super not for discipline. You know, if you ask me about discipline, and that's really not my thing. I'm all for love and softness. And even though on the surface my life can look similar because I still work out, take care of myself, all of those things, now the place I do it from is self-loving. It's like, oh, my body, I actually feel now the tiredness in me, and that's why I'm going to stand up and go lie in bed and meditate as opposed to just sticking in my sofa and watching TV for another hour, which is the kind of thing maybe I would have done before. And it's very small changes that overall make you go like, oh, I do love myself. Like I care for me. I care for me as if you had like a little girl in your arms that someone was like, here, take care of her. You know, it's so obvious what you would do to make her feel good and loved. And that's essentially how I treat myself now. Not all the time, it's not perfect, but way, way, way more than before. And it's this plus the sense of like when I say I'm gonna do something and when I put my mind into something, I accomplish it. But again, not in a way of like discipline, but in a way of like let my body guide me towards it and through it. So it just creates self-trust. And it's just like some feelings that go together with that sense of, oh, this is what self-love feels like.
This is what self love feels like, self trust, being there for you. And wow, it's so touching because there's nuance. It might look from the outside that is like a hard boundary, which are important to have boundaries, but to turn off TV when it's getting late, it would seem like, okay, that's discipline. But it doesn't stem from the striving to be Miss Universe,
Exactly.
but it comes from the inner immediate communication to yourself, your sensations, your body. So it's inwardly informed. And I love what you say, that you see the most powerful highlights of self-love in the little things on your day-to-day life. So it's not like this spectacular, bombastic, transformational experience of a retreat in Tulum.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, how about just taking a little time to slow down and be me and see how am I doing? Um, and I love when you said like almost beholding a little child, a little girl that is you in your arms, and almost like asking her like, hey, do you fancy an ice cream, or do you want, feeling sleepy, you want a blanket, let me wrap you and make you feel cozy, little child. And that little child is you, is
Yeah.
is yourself. And it's in these moment by moment self check-ins that you show up for yourself. and it's not just through the like affirmations and mental discourse. No, it's through the language of the body, that is action, which is also the language of the unconscious. Is like a little thing that means that I care for me. Like, am I thirsty? Am I hydrated? But it's not that you're stuffing a gallon inside, because that's the ultimate wellness trend. No, it doesn't come from there. It comes from the self. And now I feel a little bit like, even, I don't know, maybe kind of afraid or scared of the unknown, because there's no script when we turn into the body,
Precisely. Yeah.
and there are no even words. It's like the there's a word for thirst, but thirst is not a word. Thirst is a this animalistic, I need water to live.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it's like more raw and
very
primal,
normal.
and also sincere. So
Yeah.
I am loving this.
Yeah, there are no instructions from the body, and that's what makes it so scary, like you say. And that's why we use so many strategies outside in everywhere, like dating has so many rules and strategies, and like what we were talking about, like the divine feminine connection and all of that. And you can find this in every area of life because we're so afraid of that letting go and like, let's see moment by moment where it takes me. It takes a lot of trust and guts, and that is terrifying.
Yeah, it takes a lot of trust and a lot of guts in the self, in oneself, to even start to love yourself, which is so important and fundamental and beautiful, because that's like the primal reference for your relating to the world. Like, it's like your presentation card in a way. And yeah, it's like maybe more interest, like, yeah, I'm gonna love myself so Brad loves me. No, you're getting it wrong. That's not the way it works. It's 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 more essential. It's more fundamental. And I am curious if there's a little practice or something that you could share with us, maybe a couple minutes or 5 minutes, to tap into embodying self-love in a sensuous way, in a way that involves uh, what you mentioned, like this openness.
Yeah, of course. And just before I jump into a quick little sample practice, I want to say for anyone who's listening to us and has this little, because I think a lot of women, especially where we come from, have these desires. I know I've had them around like, oh, I want to be saved, and like you say, I want a brat to save me. And actually, we take a very counterintuitive but effective approach in somatics to that, because in somatics, the whole gist of it is we want to love the heck out of every single part of you. And your desires are a part of you. So if your desire is to be saved by a man and like that turns you on, or like to be rescued, whatever it is, as fucked up as it sounds, and like you to your rational mind, that's like a liberated woman, and like a strong woman or wants to be, we will still love the heck out of it and work with it, and that's a part of the work. So like a part of the work is loving yourself and empowering yourself, and another part of the work is also loving your desires. So never in the world shame, no shame on them, but actually a lot of love and even celebration, and they're hot and they're sexy,
Yes,
and they're here to be celebrated as a part of who you are, and fulfilled in ways that feel safe and good to you. That's just like a little parenthesis
love
that
it.
I
Thank you.
wish my younger self knew when I shamed my own desires, which I have done a lot in my life. And now to the practice. I think one of my favorite, easiest, most like immediate ways to just get into your body in a sensual way is, and actually I use this a lot. I integrate this practice to listen to my intuition as well. So it's just erotic embodiment breath. So, like, you breathe into your chest and you take it all the way down to your tummy, and then you take it all the way down to your pelvic floor. And you really let it land on your pelvic floor. And if you can, like, do some um, holding of it, like if you were stopping pee, and you create this breathing bridge that connects your throat and like your whole belly area down to your pelvic floor. And then you feel your, like, because your pelvic floor holds your, I mean, your chakra, it holds your sexual energy and sensual energy. It gets activated, and that's how you get like this bridge, be this breathing bridge that also like helps heal internal splits, and just very, it's very grounding. You can do that standing in the line in the supermarket or just whenever. And how I use it in terms of like activating your intuition is just when you get the chance to be very calm and do this, and like feel how when you connect your breath, your throat with your pelvic floor with just breath, at a certain point you will get so relaxed, and like the pleasure is the opposite of flight and freeze. You know, you'll be so relaxed and so in your body that you will get this kind of like empty tummy almost. And in that empty tummy, ask yourself anything and be like, oh, what should I do about this? Or is this a yes or a no for me, or whatever? And then you'll get information. You'll feel like constriction, and that's your no, or like expansion, like a wave of expansion flowing into your tummy, and you'll feel the yes, or maybe just nothing and it's neutrality. But then because you activated your pleasure center, and you're in this like pure state. And yeah, there you go.
Wow, this is gold. Two in one. Embodying, embodying sensuality and eroticism with breathing, connecting to the pelvic floor all the way, and then taking it to the next level of listening to your gut, connecting to intuition and knowing the answer. Now, the question is, do you have the guts to listen to your body, to listen to to know the answer of your query, which is also like wondering if you are ready to take the invitation to begin this really worthwhile journey of fleshly knowing yourself, of coming within, tapping into your sensitivity, wondering about the mystery of having an empty belly, a center of power that is empty, but it's empty, full of brimming life energy somehow. This is gold. Thank you so much, Majo. I'm really happy you came to the Sensual Sessions podcast.
Thank you so much for having me, Candy. I really enjoyed this talk.
Tell us,
But yeah.
how can we know more about your work? Get in touch.
Of course, you can find me on TikTok and Instagram at She's Embodied. You can also get your listeners get a free somatic session if they're interested, and they can book it on my website, shesembodied.com. And lastly, I do have a free resource also for your listeners on how to be magnetic from within, in dating and in life, without playing games, just from your body, like authentic magnetism. And that I'm happy to share that as well.
Love it. Thank you so much, Majo.
Thank
Really
you.
happy. And also, sensualists, thank you for being here. Make sure to follow Majo Torreli. She's in TikTok and Instagram at She's Embodied. Also, run to book your free somatic session with her on her website, she'sembodied.com. And in the meantime, snatch her free resource on how to be magnetic from within in dating and in life without playing games. And also, if you haven't already, go grab the free guide to awaken sensuality at my website, my name, candiaraquel.com, www.candiaraquel.com. Until next time, remember to take the time to sense your fire so you can share the flame.